There's an amendment on the ballot. If you look at the chart, thank you, Marilyn, for bringing this, by the way.
You're welcome.
This is I-2. This area is zoned I-2, and it's industrial and light manufacturing is what's allowed there today. And so the amendment is to allow, and Larry, you're going to have to explain this a little bit, comprehensive automobile restoration and assembly within the city of Solon. So an assembly operation is different than light manufacturing. So in favor of this zoning amendment, Larry Wu is here, and he brought some of his staff. By the way, thanks for being here, guys. We know you got other things to do on a Tuesday night, so we appreciate it. So Larry, why don't you come on up and tell us what this involves and why we should vote for it. Okay.
Again, I'm Larry Wu, R&H Motor Cars. We're based right on Davis Industrial Park.
What's it called again?
R&H Motor Cars.
R&H?
Yep.
R&H.
R&H, okay.
And I'll see it's issue 63, in which we have some support of the council member, Bill Russo, Ed Krause, Robert Clunas, and Bill Mooney. And we're asking for a clarification of the zoning that we're in. And what we want to do is we want to perform restoration of vehicles, and we want a simpler term would be just building cars, building hot rods. We're not building production cars, we're not having a factory. We build only probably 3 cars a year capable. Every car takes about 2,000 hours to finish, 2,000 to 3,000 hours.
So these are custom one-off vehicles.
They are, and to help clarify, we actually brought 4 cars with us today that parked on the parking lot, so after we talk, we can go and take a look and you can ask some questions.
And it is not true that Bob and I walked here and we'll be driving away. just in case that question came up in any case.
That's right.
Right. Yep, these are most of our old classic cars,
Restoration.
older cars. Right now we have about 10 employees that we employ. Again, we're not a service center, we're not a body shop. We build cars for sale, and we build cars that are ordered. We've been in Solon for about 2 years, and it's really a great community. We really love the area, but we're operating with 2 occupancy permits at this time. And so we just wanted, for our growth of our company, to make sure that the verbiage is continuing what we wanted to do. So
Well,
63.
It's a change to the, in other words, it's an amendment to the zoning that's currently there.
Well, we're asking
So what is the change?
Well, we're asking to put the verbiage of assembly.
Assembly.
Yes.
Okay.
Or when we want to put together a car or build a car, the term they want us to use is assembly. So we're in a manufacturing area. We're not suited for a retail area or automotive, like a dealership. We've been there for 2 years, and all of our neighbors, Bobby's one of our neighbors, she probably didn't even know what we did for a long time because we have no outside storage of vehicles. Everything we do is indoors. As you drive by, it's typically very quiet, very clean. We have a very clean operation. And we welcome any of the members to stop by our facility to look inside our shop to see exactly what we do. Okay. So again, we believe that the fit for what we're asking, the I-2 is the best fit for us.
Do you actually do body work on these vehicles?
At that location, no. Right now we rent about 2,000 square feet of a body shop in East Lake.
Okay, same with paint?
Yes, that's correct.
So the paint is, you don't do painting or actually do body work there?
We do not.
You basically take the parts out, get them refurbished, refinished, bring them in, put them together.
That's correct.
Okay, gas monkey.
Yep.
If you watch them,
if you watch some of the shows, you know, we build hot rods and some
well,
of the cars.
they farm the stuff out. They're not doing
Yep.
most, they're doing assembly and for the most part, so you know,
Right.
I kinda know what the components are.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You know, not only classic cars, we actually build some later model kit cars, and we refurbish some later model cars also.
Okay, Great.
Would you like to take 5 minutes to go outside to see some of these
No,
cars?
nobody will ever come back.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, let's finish.
After the meeting, yes.
After the meeting, we can
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
What's the average car cost?
Depends
on the auction.
Give me a range.
150 to 300.
Okay. That's right.
I mean, these cars
That's
take-
why I wanted to at least put that number so you knew that it was.
The cars that we
Special kind
do
of car. Right, yeah.
are 2,000 or 4,000 hour bills. They're not a typical car that you can maybe go to a body shop and say, well, I want to build like a high rod. These are very custom cars that we build for very,
Exclusive clientele.
sometimes, yes.
Does that include county council?
We build cars for sports players, princes. We build cars for a lot of different people. They're really unique cars, so if you get a chance to take a look.
Patty?
What's to prevent you if we change this zoning from becoming more of a large-scale retailer?
Well, one of the things, well, just like if the oil that we use when we prepare one of these hot rods is very expensive. We only carry 2 grades of oil. A typical oil change in your car will cost you $40 to change oil in today's car. If you were to change oil at our place, with the cost of oil and our labor rate, it would be well over $100. So, and we don't have the capabilities of doing that because we're so busy with the projects that we have.
It's really written in the zoning that no retail is allowed.
Yeah, and it is written as only that we are
That's-
not
that's
allowed to do
protection.
that also.
Retail is not allowed, they do online sales and that's it.
Online.
Patty, you had a question?
If this passes, how will it affect the rest of the industrial?
The rest of
zoning?
I-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Marilyn, do you know the answer to that?
What is that?
How does it affect the rest of I-2 if this passes?
Well, if a change like this occurs, there's nuances to this amendment. The theory is that it could, having been married to a lawyer, anytime you change anything, there's a precedent then that you have broken, you've changed something, and that precedent then establishes a new land use or a conforming use, if it's not a conforming use, that can be used throughout that zone. It's the purple up there, and there, as you see, some of those touch on areas where you would certainly not like to have anything come into that area unless it's already provided for prior to. I'm not saying this because I'm not a lawyer. I just know my husband was dead on. When things were messing up a precedent already established, he really didn't like to have new law. And this is in that area. I wanted to know whether when you bought this property or moved there, whether you realized that you were moving in without, did the city give you permission knowing that this was not that this was a non-conforming use? Were you aware of it? Did you apply to the city? Did you buy?
Yes, we have occupancy permits for the business now.
No, but when you, the original land was purchased for what use, and did the city realize what you were doing prior to the sale or the rent of the city? Did the city know?
I don't believe I know how to answer that. You know, in terms of, do they know what we do? Yes, they know what we do in the building,
Now,
yes.
but prior to that, you knew what you were doing. Did you communicate that to the city? And
We
did they-
asked the city if we can do automotive assembly, and they said it doesn't fall in the use of the zoning, we'll have to go and put it to the vote of the public to see if we're allowed to do that.
For 2 years, this has been going on. I'm just asking, the timeline doesn't look quite, you know, the way it perhaps should, and maybe, I know that there's a conforming and a non-conforming use in this area, and we have to be very mindful as citizens. I don't want to take anything away from the other speakers or whatever that's going to happen, but I question the necessity for changing for a very small portion of a very, very large part of Solon's land use. That's all I'm asking. Think about it.
Over the last 6 years I've been on council, I think we've changed the zoning in industrial area 4 times. It's been put to the voters and they've approved it each time. So remember, voters approved the use of athletic facilities, team sport facilities in the industrial area. That's one. There's a medical use now that's allowed in there. So this is not out of the ordinary.
Bill?
But it's not an automobile assembly
Is-
repair potential, da-da-da-da-da-da-da down the
Now, it's
line.
very specific in the language as far as what's allowed and what's not allowed. And that's why the law director and the planning director are very comfortable with this going on the ballot.
Bill, the assembly is allowed in that district.
No, not.
Yes, I mean, you've got people out there, Crawford Finning Company, that assembles parts all day long. Okay, they put assembly is generally, is it an allowable or an unallowable use in general? It's not really specified.
It's allowable use.
Yeah, so the only thing that's a question is something like automobile assembly, which is slightly different, but I know we have companies in town that basically, do machine repair for their own machinery. Well, they're here in town, cause I've worked with them.
Right.
Okay, so they're taking apart, huge, pieces of machinery and rebuilding worn its way late, for instance, and doing that. So there is some component of things that are there, and I think all we're dealing with here is trying to get a little better definition of how far that is included.
For Barnes and Oliver's over there, and they're a customer of ours, they do assembly machine tools, which would make the automobile look pretty small compared to the size of the machine tool. Could be
So
assembled
right.
and reconditioned and refurbished and repainted and all the things that Barnes and Oliver's been in that district for probably
And then
25, 30 years.
they sell them then, right?
Right, yeah.
And they got clientele, so that's what I'm getting at, is that I think they're simply trying to get a better definition of what can be included in assembly without getting involved in automotive repair.
All right, Larry, thank you. We also have with us tonight Jim Orosz. Jim, I have worked with in the past. He's repaired my vehicles. I found him to be a man of integrity and great confidence. So Jim is here to speak on the other side of this and why we should not vote for this.
Well, this is a difficult issue here, and not to tell anybody how to vote, but the way I see it, and some of the people that sit on council say this is opening up 2,100 acres of industrial property to this type of issues. Now, once he is allowed to do that, branching off on different things is going to be very easily be able to be done. I've been in this town for 45 years, or maybe more, okay? And I do auto repair. He does auto repair in a glamorous way, but nothing else is different, okay? Does his cars cost a lot more maybe when he gets done with them? Hell yes, they do. You go down on Tuesday night, he's there. His cars are $159,000 and maybe more. They're sold pretty much on internet and through the other means of doing things. So there's a sales going on there too, which I don't have a problem with any of that. But do we want to open up all that gray space? Why didn't they just chip off a piece? Why are they giving up 2,100 acres to be attacked or, cut up? Councilman there says that we have changed zoning. There are only districts. There's, on the map you could see, this is one, this isn't all this. This is another. It's just that. It's not all 2,100 acres. So, he has a right to do business there. But I don't know if we want to give up 2,100 acres. What happens in zoning, where I was, the city wanted me there. They said, go there. We don't want you where you're at. We want you to be on Bainbridge Road. What happens on Bainbridge Road after 20 years? They don't want me on Bainbridge Road after, they want industrial, they want historical commercial.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, what's gonna happen here in 20 years, 5 years, time goes a lot faster now. It don't take 20 years, it probably can happen in 2 and 3 years.
Jim, can you possibly give us a, for instance, of something that could possibly change in that whole big district because of Mr. Wu's idea? I mean, just a, for
Well,
instance.
I think on the internet, there's a lot of people that wanna be in the automotive business and sell cars. And,
Particularly cars that cost that much.
yeah, well,
Any amount.
he has other cars, he didn't mention that. How many cars do you have there that are not yours? They're on consignment, that you sell?
Maybe about 10.
Pardon me? 100?
10.
10?
We
When I was there, you had about 75 cars.
We own about 50 cars, we have about 60 cars, 65 cars for sale. We own about 50 of those cars.
And those aren't manufactured cars, those are used cars. Okay, now I think there may be some other used car, places in the industrial section. I'm not sure, but I think there is. There were other groups. There was one down by Richmond and Cannon. And, this was about 2 or 3 years back, and the city finally moved them out of there. And they were selling, cars on the internet totally. And, you know, they would buy them and fix them up, and that's how they would get rid of them. But that is how he got there. That's where he started. You started selling cars out of there, not fixing and repairing and manufacturing them.
That's correct. We have a dealer's license, we have acquisition permits, we're selling the cars.
See, and there is a dealer's license there. He has a dealer's license to sell.
That makes a
So if
difference.
somebody else comes in and says he has a dealer's
That makes
license.
a difference.
2100
Yeah, you're
You know,
right.
you might want to keep this to a smaller point, but this isn't what we're voting on at this time, and it's fortunate, you know, if they would have said maybe that strip where he is at,
Yeah,
you know,
just one.
a quarter of a mile or something like
Yeah.
that. They didn't pick it out that way.
Mhm.
So what are you in
Something
for?
that-
It's hard to say.
Right. And again, just to clarify, the zoning ordinances that the residents approved were in the industrial area, that all the area there, they were not anywhere outside of the I-2 area. So the four times that you approved changes to the I-2 area are in that area, they're not outside of it. So, again, allowing sports teams in there, medical offices, what have you, it's been done already.
Well, Bill, under the changes you put on the ballot here,
Right.
is he allowed to buy and sell a car?
No.
Okay, what prevents him from doing that?
By selling.
He's allowed to do it over the internet, but it's not a retail facility which somebody is gonna actively shop and purchase a vehicle.
Okay, but he can buy, a 64 Dodge on the internet and sell a 64 Dodge in the internet. Does he have to do
On the
anything to
internet,
it?
you're right, but there's not retail trade allowed
Okay, so
in that area.
I'm not sure whether you can.
Well, again, it'd be like,
restrict it.
let's say you have Amazon, you don't have people going to Amazon to purchase. They're making their purchase online and it's delivered to them.
My hearing's kind of bad when I don't wear my hearing aids, so.
Are you online?
So your
If-
customer.
Did you say he's not allowed to sell used cars there, according
No,
to the
It's
city?
not retailing, it's not for people to come off the street and into the facility and shop. That you can sell it online.
Well, someday this whole world's gonna change like you said, so are there any provisions in this council to address this, because?
Right, so
No?
basically what you're saying is we should not change with the times. This is effectively, because if more things are going online and less manufacturing and less shopping, if we don't make changes to go with the times, then
I'm
We're gonna
just saying
suffer.
that it is changing, when you're gonna change in council, and let us know what's the deal there. Thank you.
There's a lot of unanswered question about this issue. I think nobody's ever came and said, maybe we should look at this and do it on a different way. They just went this way, and there was no none of the committees, the planning commission, or anybody suggested anything different. They just took it straight up the trunk line. And it should have been changed, I think.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.